Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos. Shabbos of right before Hey Teves. Didan Natzach was a great victory, a civil victory of the books in Chabad. And God willing, we're going to have great physical victories in the land of Israel. And very soon, we'll have a time of peace and security, a time which will have great miracles of Hanukkah. In this week's Parsha, Shabbos Parshat Mikeitz, is very much connected to the story of Hanukkah. You know, in the story of Hanukkah, there's a very interesting medrash. And that medrash says, commentaries say that the Greeks would make the Jews sign on a horn of an ox, that they have no belief in Hashem, they have no emunah or faith in Hashem. And so the rabbis asked the question, why would they make them sign on the horn of an ox? What was the idea of signing a horn of an ox? And the fundamental behind it of making this oath of non-belief in God was because the Greeks they liked Jewish culture. They liked even the Torah, but don't study Torah because of belief in Hashem. Don't study Torah because of God. Study Torah because it has great intellectual value. They were great intellectuals. They're some of most of the fundamental of psychology and physiology all came from the Greek culture. The most cultural advanced nation at the time. To a certain extent, they were the beginning of culture. Even in the Torah, it says the most beautiful language in the Torah after Hebrew or after Aramaic would be Greek. And so the Greeks were brilliant in culture, brilliant in Olympics, brilliant in sport, brilliant individuals, but they didn't want the Jews to have any belief in Hashem, and so they would make you sign on the horn of an ox. Why a horn of an ox? And the horn of an ox, because the ox, every single tribe had an animal which was representative, or a sign, and the sign for Joseph, the sign for Yosef, was a sign of an ox, and therefore they made you sign on the horn of an ox because they didn't want you to be like Yosef. Who was Yosef? Yosef was the only person in the Torah who was named Hatzadik, the righteous. In the Torah, in total, there's three individuals: Mordechai Hatzadik and Shimon Hatzadik. But there's three individuals that give this name, the righteous. And Yosef Hatzadik is because while he was living in Egypt, he always remained holy, he always remained pure, he always remained a tzaddik. And this was the greatest challenge, the other tribes living in Israel to remain righteous or holy, living in their shtetl, was not such a big deal. But being the viceroy of Egypt, being the great economist that Joseph becomes, this week's Torah portion, for interpreting the dreams of Paro, he becomes second to the king, and within that time remains holy the whole time. And he names his children, Menashe and Ephraim, to tell us that he always remains holy and pure the entire time. And he tells it to his brothers as well. While he lived in Mitzrayim, while he lived in Egypt, he always remained holy and pure. And because of that, he's considered a tzaddik. And so the Greeks were afraid that the Jews on the outside may look like Greeks, like Joseph, but on the inside remain holy like Joseph. And therefore they made them make this oath, like the famous Anusim, or the negative term Marranos of Spain, that on the outside they look like Christians, but on the inside they remain holy. And so the Greeks tried to make this oath so they shouldn't even have any belief inside in Hashem. And it teaches the power of being a Jew, living in a world, living especially outside of a shtetl, outside of a religious area, and remaining holy, living in a secular world, and living in a place that's like Miami, but remaining holy, remaining pure, and remaining you get the value, as we said in Tanya today, Yafa Sha'achas, how much great is 1 hour in this world than the entire world to come. When we do something physical down here in this world, we're able to transform the physicality into spirituality. And this was the great miracle that happened on Hanukkah. The great miracle of Hanukkah was that the world saw that there's a God, and that's why we celebrate the menorah of 8, the menorah instead of the miracle of the victory, because the miracle of the victory was a miracle that happens within nature, but the miracle of the oil is a miracle that goes beyond nature, and that is why we celebrate my Hanukkah. What is Hanukkah? The miracle menorah. And so as we go into the Shabbos of Teves, Shabbos as we finish off today, Zayis Chanukah Samizbeach, the final 8th day, we should recommit our bitachon, our faith in Hashem, as he says, Misha ma'amin lo mefached. This is the whole fundamental of all of the songs in which we sing in Israel right now. One who believes is not afraid. If we have emunah in Hashem, we know there's nothing that's going to stop us. And that's the reality. We have to strengthen our emunah in Hashem. We have to strengthen our bitachon and our hope in Hashem. And God willing, God will grant us great and miraculous blessings in the land of Israel and for everyone in their own life. May we have the time which we have the ultimate lighting of the menorah. Not the lighting of the menorah in Gaza, like it did for the last 8 days, but the lighting of the menorah on the Holy Temple Mount and the coming of Mashiach very soon in our day. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. See you tonight, 6 p.m. Tomorrow morning, 10:15.